right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I know there's a little bit of background noise. If everybody can please make sure that you're muted. If you are not a presenter, that would be great and help everyone be able to hear. Welcome again. My name is Crystal Irons, and I'm the director of the Missouri Small Business Development Center at Missouri State University. Really excited to have you all on this webinar with us this afternoon. A few quick Zoom meeting tips before we jump in and get started. We will be taking questions throughout the program, so put those all in the chat box. Again, make sure that your mics are muted throughout, and that'll help everyone with background noise. And I am recording this as well, so I will make sure that we get this posted up on our website and then send all of you some follow-up resources that our presenters are going to share with us, as well as a link to this recording and the slides that we're going to use today as well. I'm really pleased to have our two presenters here with us this afternoon to help us talk through our unemployment options for small business owners and what you need to know as you really try to deal with this difficult situation and working with your employees. I've got Lynn Waymeyer. She is the workforce coordinator with Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development. And then Sally Payne, who's the Assistant Director of Workforce Development with the City of Springfield and the Missouri Job Center. So thank you both for joining us. Really appreciate your time. I know both of you are very busy right now with everything going on, so appreciate it.
It's a little busy, yeah.
All right, let me try to get my computer to work here. Maybe. There we go. So real quick, before we jump in, I do want to remind everybody that we are here to provide assistance to small business owners, really at every stage of business, from startup to growth. Now, of course, and even after this, we're here to support you. We provide one-on-one consulting at no additional fee to our clients. We also provide a variety of training seminars like this one, usually in person, but we've been able to shift well into the webinar format, which has been nice. We at Missouri State University have a lot of different course projects that we work with small business owners on. So if you ever have a need, don't hesitate to reach out to my team and I, and we're always glad to have a list of those available. And then of course, through this disaster recovery process, we are here to work with you. We are part of a nationwide and statewide network of small business development centers. We have offices across the state. We partner with University of Missouri Extension here in Missouri and funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration, which is what allows us to meet with our clients at no additional fee. Our office here at Missouri State University, we serve 16 counties throughout Southwest Missouri. We do have 3 different office locations in Springfield. We serve as part of the eFactory's business support programs. We also have a satellite center in West Plains on our campus at Missouri State, and then an office in Forsyth with our University of Missouri Extension partners there as well. So with that, I'm gonna toss it over to our presenters today. These are some of the topics that we discussed that we hope to give you some guidance on as small business owners. And then of course, like I mentioned, we're gonna continue to take questions throughout the program. So please feel free to throw those in the chat and we will go through those at the end and answer as many as we can. So Sally, I think I'll let you start off and kind of help us understand what the Job Center can do to help both employers and employees right now, what you guys are doing.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. Right, so what we can do right now, we have 2 offices that are closed to the public, but we still have staff coming in. So our office on Shepherd of the Hills Expressway in Branson and the office on East Sunshine in Springfield are still open. We did close to the public and staff our satellite office in the Cox Medical Tower. At this time, all partners and our one-stops are still here. So there are still staff available. We have our state staff, our city staff. We've got rest care who will help with those receiving TANF benefits. And we have FSD is still here, and they filed the SNAP and TANF and Medicaid applications. So they're all still here. And our legal services staff that we have partnered in the building is still coming in. So even though we're still close to the public, we are providing services. What's happening now for us, we have had, and every week we're doing Facebook hiring events. So if your respective businesses are still, wanting and needing applicants and labor, we're having those Facebook hiring events, and they can call our number at 887-4343 and put a job order in the system. Those have been receiving, honestly, on our Springfield location, Job Center Facebook page, those have been reaching about 6,000 people. And the Facebook page in our Branson location has a reach, and this has been reaching about 3,000. So even though we know there are a mass number of people unemployed right now, there are still businesses who are needing workers. We have on average, about 1,200 job orders in our system at any one time. And our business service representatives are going through and calling those employers and ensuring that they are still hiring their active job orders. That way our job seekers can get the most up-to-date information. In addition to that, even though we can't conduct our workshops, of course, in person, we've videoed 2 of our most utilized and popular workshops, and that is the resume assistant. So those unemployed but are seeking work, if they need to update the resume, that video is on our Facebook page and our website. And in addition to that, we've also videoed a workshop on how to utilize the MoJob system, our job search database, so they can, learn how virtually to navigate our job search, our job database. In addition to that, what we're helping with now, we can assist. We do have some partner staff, and they are our state staff that can help people and assist them in filing their unemployment claims. What they're seeing now, I talked to the staff yesterday, and really, for the most part, what they're seeing are needing help. People are needing help with resetting their username and password. The unemployment system switched over from a legacy system to UInteract back in 2016. If you filed a claim back in 2016, your username and password theoretically should still be useful for the new system. But if you're like, I would not remember my username and password from 2016. So there's a lot of help being given out to reset those and helping navigate. We have recommended to people, to file for their unemployment benefits online. The last I heard, the number reported, I believe it was this past Tuesday, there is about an 8,000 email backlog in the unemployment system. I would probably imagine that number is greater now that we're on, at Friday. So they are recommending that if you can file online, that's the most efficient way to do it. You can file via telephone. However, if you're missing information, or if they need additional information, they will route you to a person, a staff member. And as you can imagine, the wait time will be quite extensive. So online is best. And in addition to that, probably the recommendation would be to try to access the system during non-peak hours, such as in the evening, at night, or early in the morning. The system has been going down sporadically. They are making upgrades to the system, but the suddenness of this and the great impact of this was something that most were not prepared for. So you can imagine the push on a system, and they are trying to make upgrades. It's just going to take some time. And they've just asked people to be extremely patient. They know how difficult it is, and they will get to you. It just takes a little bit of time to work out that backlog.
Great, thank you, Sally.
You're welcome.
Lynn, do you have anything that you'd like to add from the state workforce development side?
Well, honestly, Sally is there on site, and we are such good partners with the Springfield and the Branson Job Centers. And I must say, we always give credit where credit is due. They are spectacular community partners. They are people who have the heart to serve, and we are partnered very well together through this crisis. And I must say again what Sally said, although many employers are faced with either a furlough or a layoff situation, there still are many employers who are hiring and taking great care of their staff to keep them safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Can either of you share with us how employers should notify the job center about mass layoffs, and then what that threshold is for reporting those mass layoffs?
Sure. As a workforce coordinator, we take information from frontline staff, and actually staff is helping individuals with their filing of claims. Okay, they're not actually doing it, but they're assisting, they're answering questions, they are resetting passwords, user IDs, that type of thing. They're keeping a list. So that is one great avenue. Another one that employers could help us with as the workforce coordinators, they could contact us directly. And I will share my email address with everyone. And we have a map of the entire state of who serves which counties, okay? And also then there is the WARN notices that come through. Everyone always wants to talk about the WARN notices. That is a policy that is administered through the federal government. So when a business approaches me and asks me, what should we do? Of course, our first response is, please consult your legal department. But typically in the state of Missouri, the threshold is 50. That's what we tell people. And then there's a process to follow, and I'll be glad to send the link out for that as well. We do have a state WARN coordinator, that's Lisa Marshall, and I will be glad to share her email address as well. And as she coordinates for our entire state, the WARN situation, she will send those directly to the appropriate workforce coordinator who represents that region of the state, if that makes sense. The quicker that the workforce coordinators are informed of a situation, it is so good that we can assist employers through this and also assist the employees. It's really a twofold benefit for everyone. We tailor everything we do to the specific employer. Okay, we visit with them. What are your needs? What is the message that you would like for us to send? Do you offer this type of benefit? If so, we'll bring in that kind of a partner to help us through the meeting. And then we hold face-to-face meetings with the employees. And then also, it allows the employees to realize the benefit of staying until the very end, until either a shutdown is occurring, a layoff is occurring. And there are some best practices, but really, as an employer, you know your people and you know the culture that you have built, and that's what we try to cater to. Worst case scenario is if an individual comes to work and there's a sign on the door that says we're closed. And unfortunately, that has happened as well. What we do is we deploy a team based on the needs of each employer specific. So, and that team can consist of not only your workforce coordinator, but we bring in our partners. We bring in someone from the Department of Labor. We bring in local job center staff who can speak to the local programs, the local workshops. We also bring in employment securities. So whatever it is the local businesses need, that is how we cater to them. In this time right now, we are providing information via WebEx. We can hold meetings via WebEx, which is new to us. We've not done that before, but we're on, like everyone else, working from home. You know, state is trying to keep us safe as well. We can also email out some tools, some really good tools, which I would be glad to share. And it puts the employees at ease to know that we're still there to help. Although we are not seeing customers face to face, we're still providing services. We're just doing business just a little bit differently right now. So I hope that answered your question, Crystal.
Oh, Crystal, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
No.
I'm just chatting away. So I was saying, Lynn, that I think that's wonderful that you guys have been able to really pivot and still continue to help those employers and employees, meeting with them via WebEx, so that they can still get the benefit of your expertise and all of the partnerships that you guys offer and work with. Can you share with us a little bit about where employers should be directing their employees right now when they are faced with having to temporarily lay people off because of business closures or sales being down?
Lynn, are you going to take that, or do you want me to?
Right now. Oh, Sally, you go right ahead.
Okay. Well, chime in if I forget something. Where should employers direct their employees? Of course, they can always call their local job center. Like, you know, Lynn reiterated as well, we are closed to the public, but we are coming into the office every day, and staff is here to help. And that's what we're here to do. We have posted links, phone numbers. There's a really good unemployment tip sheet for employers and employees that the state of Missouri made, and we have posted that on our Facebook page as well as our website. There's also a video that the state of Missouri put together, and we posted that out there as well on our sites on how to a step-by-step on filing for unemployment. When you first go into the system, they will ask you if this is COVID-19 related, this layoff, and as I think they've been very open, the job search requirement has been lifted for those COVID-19 layoffs. You know, it's interesting, you know, it is still very specific. We've had a lot of questions about, can you get unemployment if you're a realtor, or if you're a hairdresser, or a nail tech. So, you know, you really, they are encouraging everyone just to go ahead and apply anyway. Just go ahead, and then they'll take those individual situations and cases, you know, one by one. So there's not a one size fits all. But again, you know, like I, you know, mentioned in the first question, the best bet is to file that online. It just goes faster, and you know, you don't have those wait times. But if there's any questions, any information, any help with usernames or passwords, we're here at the job centers. We are only open though during business hours, you know, from 8 to 5. So if you're, you know, wanting to do that via phone before that or after 5, you know, we wouldn't have the staff here to assist. I will say, and Lynn, you may know the exact hours, but I do believe the unemployment staff have expanded their hours to try to field some of these calls. I was looking at the statistics yesterday, and it's rather alarming. The week of March 14th, 2020, there were 4,300 unemployment claims. And this is the state of Missouri. And the week of March 21st, that jumped to 43,000. And the week ending March 28th, it jumped to 97,000. So again, that's where, we're just encouraging everyone to please exercise patience, because, it's just a really large push on the system. But we are, the state office in Jeff City, Lynn's office, I have to tell you, they've been phenomenal about getting information to us as quickly as they can, whether it's posters, flyers, videos, anything and everything they can do to assist. And we have been sending that information out, posting it. We've sent it to our local chambers. We're doing town halls on the local media. So we are having a Facebook Live next Wednesday. We're going to have a panel discussion, and it's going to be solely focused on economic impact. And so we hope that's going to be beneficial. So as Lynn said, we're still providing those services. It's just very, very different right now.
Great, thank you
Sally,
very much. Go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback on that we do have an emergency response call center set up. So we are working outside of the normal business hours. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., or it could be earlier, could be as early as 6 a.m.
And in addition to that, thanks, Lynn. I knew they had expanded hours. I wasn't sure what they were, but that's helpful. And in addition to that, so outside of our normal job center hours, we've got the state gave us a really great hotline. And so we've got the hotline set up, for when they call after hours. We're probably in our Springfield office fielding about 600 calls and emails daily. The Branson office is seeing, and as you can imagine, with a very heavily service-focused economy, they're fielding about 6 times that right now.
All right, thank you so much. We've had a lot of clients asking us about the difference between furloughs and layoffs, and if they do furloughs, will their employees get the benefit of unemployment? So I thought it would be helpful if you guys could speak to the differences there and how that works for employees.
Crystal, the difference, the way I understand it, is a furlough and a layoff are not quite interchangeable. A furlough is you have been mandated to not come to work, such as what's going on right now. But it is with the understanding that you're going to be called back. Okay? Now, a layoff can be many different definitions, due to a closure, due to a reduction in workforce, but to my understanding, that is the main difference. Now, are you going to be eligible for unemployment benefits? Quite honestly, I would leave that question to Employment Securities. I would encourage everyone to apply. It is our sister agency, of course, but to determine their eligibility, that is not my area of expertise. And it's like every business. Every person is just a little bit different. Have you been on shared work? Have you had a claim in the last year? So there really is no cookie cutter answer for that, I'm afraid. But I agree with what Sally said earlier. I would encourage everyone to apply.
You mentioned the shared work program. Could you share a little bit of information about what that is?
It is another program that is administered by the Department of Labor, and I will be glad to send out a link to that as well. Say you need, as a company, to make a reduction in staff. There is a program where instead of reducing your workforce by 20%, perhaps you could consider reducing the hours that they work by 20%. That way you can maintain your already trained workforce. They could draw part-time wages from the company. They could also draw part-time unemployment from employment securities.
All right, thank you. And before we jump into questions, do you have any other kind of important facts or tips and resources that you would want to mention, and knowing that we're going to also send out a follow-up email to everyone with those different links and documents that you both mentioned?
Well, there's some tricks.
Go ahead, Lynn. No, go ahead, Lynn. I'll follow you. Go.
No, you're kind. We do work so well together, don't we? There is a COVID-19 resource page on jobs.mo.gov. There is also, I understand the Department of Labor also has a coronavirus page where their frequently asked questions have been updated, and they include some of the new information on the federal legislation. So those are two very good sources. And we're all trying to keep everybody informed as much as possible. All of the state agencies are sharing resources. It's a terrible time for the economy and the state, but it is a wonderful opportunity for all the community partners and all of the agencies to come together to see how we can support our businesses and support our citizens. So it's an unusual time right now.
And in addition to that, we have put together a local resource guide for employers and employees, and you can find this on our Facebook page and our website as well. So it's got the job center numbers and number. It's got the schedule of our virtual hiring events. In Springfield, they're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In Branson, they're on Wednesdays. And I would encourage you again, if your respective business is still needing people, please reach out to one of our business service representatives, and we would be happy to put those in the system and have those part of the Facebook hiring events. Like Lynn said, you can access jobs.mo.gov, and there's a magnitude of resources and assistance and numbers and links there as well. Of course, the Missouri Department of Labor, that's where people would go directly to file for that unemployment, and businesses can also get resources and guides. We have had people, some laid off employees that would call and say, they're unhappy with their respective businesses' HR policies. And I know that's been an issue for many, many employers, to try to put together a policy. And it's been very specific and individual. There's no blanket HR policy that's going to cover everybody. And I know the city is continually, that's a very fluid document here as new guidance continues to come out. So even our own HR policies are being tweaked and changed, as we get new directives. But employees can make complaints and grievances to the labor.mo.gov, and then there's like a worker protection link. And there's also a link on that exact site where you can learn about the shared work program as well. Temporary layoff virtual workshops, Monday through Friday. Sorry, I'm just reading off my paper. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily, and you register at jobs.mo.gov. Of course, the Small Business Administration, the Missouri Attorney General, of course, reporting any price gouging, and that's the Consumer Protection Hotline, and the Department of Social Services as well, as those become unemployed and things are economically becoming a struggle for so very many to apply for SNAP or food stamp benefits. You've got mydss.mo.gov/food assistance, and then I have a number there as well. But we've got that tip sheet posted as well. And The unemployment tip sheet that we have posted is really beneficial because it tells a laid off employee exactly what documents they're going to need when they go in to apply. And if they're missing that one document, it just, unfortunately will postpone that, the receipt of benefits. And Chris, we can send all of those links and everything to you so you can share them as well.
Great. Okay, so let's run through a few questions that I see here. Sally, you mentioned a few times your Facebook page, and I had somebody say, what is the name of that Facebook page, just to make sure that they're looking in the right place. You're muted.
Sorry, I try to turn off my, anyway, it is SGF Job Center.
Great.
So you just get, yeah. And then Branson would be Branson Job Center. And we try to do most of our, communication via social media as well. We've tried to use Twitter, but you can only put in so many characters. So we've been utilizing Facebook quite heavily. And I would also go ahead and mention that next Tuesday, KY3 and the other local media stations will be doing another town hall like they did this past week. It'll be from 6:30 to 7 this Tuesday. This time they're going to only have 4 panelists. There were I think 9 of us last Tuesday. So they will have Clay Goddard, the health department director again. They will have one of the physicians that they had on before because they're still fielding a few health related questions. In addition to that, Marty Leathers, the director of the Office of Workforce Development, will be on there as well. And he'll be a great resource because, he's kind of at the heart of it all right now. So not only does he have the most up-to-date information on just our region alone, but he's looking at everything from a very statewide perspective. So those are the 3 panelists that I know for sure. And then, as I mentioned, next Wednesday, we're going to have a Facebook Live panel discussion, and we're going to keep that, economic, business, unemployment related as well.
Great. There is a question on here that are people that are getting state unemployment also getting the $600 per week federal amount?
I would have to
go ahead. I have an interesting answer, but go ahead if you'd like to take that.
I don't have an interesting answer for that.
Okay.
What I have is a referral to the Department of Labor website.
Yeah, that the additional $600 from what we were told this week from the state office, that is a governor negotiated amount. So that's a contracted amount. So as of right now, that $600 is not guaranteed. And that $600 could be $400 if that's what is negotiated. It could be $300 additional if that's what's negotiated. That's a negotiated amount. And as of right now, that amount has not been negotiated and put into contract.
And do they have a timeline when they are talking about that and trying to negotiate those?
I have not heard a timeline. I'm sure as soon as it's negotiated, like Lynn said, you could go out to the Department of Labor website, and I'm more than sure that will be publicly, given out as soon as that additional money, because every state is different, and that is a state contracted amount. So I think there's been information out there that you will receive the $600. What we're telling everybody is that is not a guaranteed at this time. It could be less than that.
Great. There's a question here. If the applicant has been told they have 3 days to contact a representative or application will be, I'm thinking they meant to say deleted, will that time be forgiven or waived until a representative can reach out due to the the level of inquiry right now.
Lynn, do you want to take that?
Are we talking about someone who has filed for unemployment?
I believe that's what it's referencing.
I don't have that specific answer. It sounds like something very specific has happened to an individual, and there's probably more backstory to that situation. So I hate to say yes or no. Again,
Sure.
It is our sister agency. It is not the agency that I work for.
Got it. Is there a local or state expert or office that you contact for detailed questions on SBA funding programs? So I'll actually take that one. Our office can assist you with those detailed kind of specifics around the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Relief Program, the Small Business Debt Relief Program as well. So we are working closely with the Small Business Administration Springfield branch office. We've been doing webinars and we'll continue to do those. We are waiting for really those final guidelines from SBA to come out before we do hold some additional webinars focused on those disaster relief programs, because our goal is really to provide the most factual information. And so we want to make sure that those details are kind of ironed out before we do those additional webinars. But we do have some scheduled next week, and as long as we get that final guidance, we will be publishing those, and excited for you all to hop on those webinars. Will the Missouri Shared Work Program be discussed? Yep, we did that. Do you have any information on sole proprietors, freelancers? Can they apply for unemployment, or what are you telling those individuals right now?
Lynn, do you want? I could. My best answer for that would be go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply. I will say, you know, even though the work search component has been lifted, so, you know, there's no job search requirement. I believe you still have to go in weekly and report. But the requirement that is other work available is still out there and valid. So that's one of the requirements that has not been lifted at this time. So I think Lynn and I are both in agreement. The best advice would be, yes, go ahead and apply. And that question, is it COVID-19 related, will be one of the first questions. And if it is, you would simply answer, you know, yes, and it will go ahead and guide you through the rest of the application. And again, that's very individual. It's hard to give one blanket answer, but they are encouraging people to go ahead and apply for unemployment. Great.
There's a question in here. How does the business owner advise employees to apply if they have a closure such as a furlough or a layoff? Will there be one that qualifies them for higher unemployment, or does that matter?
Well, I can speak a little bit to that. Unemployment is determined by what has been paid in for them, how long they have been employed. If I'm not mistaken, Employment Securities looks at the last 4 quarters, and then they have a formula where they determine what that individual's circumstance, based on their hours and what's been paid in, what they would be eligible for.
Yeah, and I can kind of go on on the UI tip sheet that we have posted out on our Facebook page. The requirements. So what you'll need your, of course, Social Security number, the gross earnings for the week, including vacation, holiday, or WARN pay. You will also need the name, address, dates of employment for each employer that you've worked for the past 18 months, and banking information like a routing number and account number. And it's important to know the week begins on Sunday and ends on Saturday. So, you know, you have to file for your weekly payment through the unemployment system as early as Sunday every week.
And I just want to confirm, Sally, you mentioned a little bit about self-employed people, or they're calling gig workers here, to file unemployment. And you're saying use the existing process, make sure you check that COVID-19 related box.
If it is COVID-19, yes, check that box. And yeah, you would use the same existing system as, you know, a W-2 type worker or an FTE.
Okay. Let's see. And then can you speak to, there's a question kind of related to that, Sally. You mentioned that they need some work history. Do they put self-employed there, or are they putting the name of the business?
And Lim, I have not assisted anybody, just full disclosure, you know, into the UI system. I don't know what that system looks like, but yes, I mean, they would have to put self-employed, you know, as they don't have, you know, the, you know, an actual employer if they're a 1099 worker.
Okay. So there's a question in here. They've got music teachers who are employees, but teaching is only a secondary job. Many have lost their main jobs, and they're asking if they keep them on as teachers, will they still qualify for unemployment, specifically the $600 or whatever it will be per week with the CARES bill, or do they need to be fully unemployed?
Lynn, do you know the answer? Go ahead.
Individuals do have an opportunity to work full-time and then draw a portion of the unemployment benefits. What that portion is based on what the wages would be from their part-time job.
If there's a 1099 worker who hasn't paid into unemployment security, how does that work?
Sally, I don't have that answer. I would have to refer them to the labor website, labor.mo.gov, and then there are frequently asked questions there.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, every bit of information, at least that's been guided and given to the locals, is to everybody should apply. And you know, having said that, you know, it doesn't mean everybody will be approved, but they are encouraging everybody to go ahead and get the information in there and apply. They're, you know, and I'm wondering, Crystal, if we could, some of these very, very specific unemployment questions, get a more direct, you know, exact answer, and maybe we could make a little fact sheet and we could send it out. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And so you could just send me those questions. Lynn and I can get them answered specifically and get those out, and we could probably turn those around pretty quickly.
Okay, that would be really helpful. Okay, anything else? Put that in the chat real quickly. I think we've got one, and I'm copying these now that you said that, Sally, to make sure I get them. Let's see. If we pay people with the payroll protection program, but they are not working, would that disqualify them for unemployment?
I am not familiar with that program. Lynn, do you have the answer for that one?
I do not. I do not. Like most of us, I have not personally unpacked the entire stimulus package. I did see a pretty good presentation that the Missouri Chamber was doing. If anyone is a LinkedIn member, I would certainly search out that. But no, I do not have that specific answer.
But Crystal, that would be one of those great questions that if you could send, we could send that up to the state level and get those answered fairly quickly.
And I'll add to that one as well. So we are, still kind of waiting for SBA to finalize that PPP program. They did send out a bunch of information today with some guidance. And so that has been one of the big questions that employers have been asking of us as well, knowing that they do have workers that are on unemployment. And so, now that the goal of that program truly is to bring people either back to work or to keep them employed ongoing, what would that mean to their unemployment if in fact we're able to get that additional amount? It could potentially put those employees at a disadvantage. And so we're trying to kind of sort that out. I've sent multiple questions actually today and yesterday to our SBA district office to try to provide a little bit of guidance. And so I apologize. My best answer is kind of stay tuned. And when we have the SBA webinars, that will definitely be something that we try to kind of unpack for you guys and help provide you some information on that specifically.
And Crystal, oh, sorry, Lynn. Do you want to?
You're good.
I was just gonna, kind of back that up. That's a great point. So much of this information right now, because of the suddenness and of everything that happened, everything is changing minute by minute, week by week, day by day. So we're learning more every day. We're getting more clarification every day. And I think Lynn would agree, but there's so many rapid changes right now. We're just doing our very best to stay on top of it and stay ahead of it a little bit, so that when things do start coming back to life, that we're prepared for that and we can assist with that. But it is an ever-changing package of information every day and every week. So we're just trying to do the best we can to stay current on that.
I totally agree, Sally. It's a very fluid situation, and the numbers change every day. And as time goes on, more guidance is going to come out. And you hate to tell people, please stay tuned, but I would rather do that than give out bad information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's a question here. What if you have work for an employee, but they are simply scared to work? So they do not come in. Do they qualify for unemployment? They're not sick and they are not taking care of a sick family member.
Well, and Lynn, you may know better than me, but I believe then because as I had mentioned previously, that requirement that is, job available, is there work ready for you, available for you, you would have to honestly answer yes. And that could be, I won't say will be, but that could be a disqualifier.
It's just one of those times. I mean, I don't think that there's a cookie cutter answer even for that. Say that individual is elderly, say they have an underlying health problem. I mean, we all have not only personal responsibility in this situation, but we all have personal situations as well. So I know of an employer, an individual went to them, they have a child who has a situation, and so that employer was able and willing to let that person work from home. They didn't let everybody. It was privilege to work from home. But it's all about the relationship with the employee and the employer. If you don't show up for work and everybody else is still working and you haven't had a conversation, to me, that's a job quit. Did I say too much? Sorry about that.
No. What we, and I will speak as a City of Springfield employee, what we've been telling our staff, the law was written to try to keep people whole, right? To try to keep people working. Now we know that that's, impossible given the situation. And that's, more in line with essential businesses. It's sort of like the unemployment application answer. Go ahead and apply, but it's a very individualized, specific situation. There's not a cookie cutter or blanket answer that you can give. And so we have been taking, and I will say for our staff at Workforce Development at the Job Center, we've had to take each individual request very specifically and individual. We have remote work applications they have to fill out. You know, the job logs, they're very specific. If you are remote working, you have to fill out, you know, a very specific, you know, job log, because at any time, as we are government workers and we're federally funded, that could be sunshine request and accessed and end up on the front page of the paper. We're taking it very seriously. Our HR department has done a really great job at ensuring that our policies follow those federal guidelines. You know, there was an expansion on FMLA, but there are very specific reasons to utilize that expanded FMLA. So again, we're just trying to stay on top of it, and we're taking each staff member as they have a concern as an individual case.
Yeah, it is really difficult right now for everybody. People want to work, but then there's also kind of that fear behind it as well, no matter what you do if you're out in the public.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't see anything else in the chat right now. I'm going to save this, and we will make sure to follow up with everyone really in two ways. So the first way that we will follow up is just providing some of the resources that Sally and Lynn both already mentioned, with some links and other, maybe that tip sheet that you mentioned, Sally, and we'll get that out to everyone so that you have it easily accessible. And then we will work with Sally and Lynn on the other questions throughout the chat and see what else we can answer for all of you, and then follow up again with an additional email. So when you see those emails, know that we're just following up with you to provide some additional information. So also want to let people know we are throughout our region and really across the state taking appointments daily to meet with small business owners. Many of you threw out questions on you know, the economic injury program, the payroll protection program, and others. And we are definitely available to help answer those questions. We've talked here in this webinar about how those are very individualized. So everybody's situation is different. There's not a program where one size fits all. And so we can kind of talk through those options and what they mean. We are holding upcoming webinars. We have two different ones. First, we're working with SBA to offer some additional webinars solely focused on what are those programs, what are the guidelines, what are the eligibility requirements, and how do you take advantage of them. And then weekly, we have set up webinars where we're going to have two of our small business consultants from the Missouri State Center, Missouri State University, SBDC, on to just do a live chat with people as they have questions, because we know that sometimes it is difficult to wait a day or two for an appointment. And so the idea of that is register, hop on, ask your questions. We'll go through as many as we can. And those are live on our training calendar right now. And we're holding one on Monday and then one later at the end of the week as well. And we do have a resource page available that links to most of the things that we talk through, like the Department of Labor website and others. And then you could also use that same link to schedule an appointment with any of us, either here at Missouri State University Center or across the state. We link to both if you're not from the Southwest region. And so, as we all kind of said several times, things are continuing to change. We're getting more and more information each day, and things are continuing to really get finalized as each program details come out. And so we will continue to try to be the source that provides that information to you. As I mentioned, we want to provide the most factual information. And so we're going to try to wait until we know that those things are outlined and detailed, and then we will share those for you. So with that, any last questions? I'll just check here. I think that's it. I want to thank you, Sally and Lynn, so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
I know you're really busy right now, and really appreciate all of your hard work that you do
Thank you.
for all of us, for the employers and for our community. It's really important work that you guys do, and we appreciate all of your team really working around the clock right now to help all of us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you. All right, everyone, thanks so much. Good luck to you, and please reach out and let us know how we can be of assistance.